This week we've got Wolfenstein, The New Order, Machine Games, and Bethesda Softworks. This game is friggin' awesome. Roll the gameplay footage, please.
Yeah.
There it is. Shall we start with the graphics?
Graphics.
No, actually, we played it on different platforms. So
What did you play it on?
Yeah, so Chris, give your opinion on the graphics, and I'll give mine.
All right, sure. I played on PC.
Oh, okay. That's
You
gonna
gotta
be
play
completely
this
different.
game. I thought this is a good candidate for PC because the original was on PC, and especially FPS games too. Like I'm not opposed to FPS on consoles, but usually given the choice, especially a game like this. This is ID's Tech 5 graphics engine, so there've been a couple games that use this. I think Rage was the first one, and I know there's been several others, but I can't remember them. But this one, like this is definitely a next gen game. This game, the graphics are like everything is just kicking ass with this.
So here's the difference. Like, so I played it on my PS3. Now, I don't think the graphics are terrible. I think they're pretty good. I think the cinematics actually look really well. You didn't think so. But I did one of the things that really stood out with me for the game is there's a lot of frame rate issues. Like it's like texture pop-ins and things like that. Did you notice stuff like that as well?
Now let me give my opinion. I also played it on PS3. Now Nick played on the classic fat PS3. I played it on the new slim model, and lo and behold,
What? Why would there be a difference?
it's been noted other places too that different PlayStations will like perform differently for some reason. I don't know what it is. I've heard of people having to uninstall and reinstall.
I have not heard of that.
The game looks okay. I don't think it's up to standards as other PS3 games are, and I've played the game on PS4.
I think the graphics
it
are
looks
awesome.
phenomenal. On PS3, I was a little let down right away because I think there are older PS3 games that look better, and now the frame rate. You're saying you had frame rate problems. The frame rate was consistent for me, which I think is why I saw some of the lower quality graphics. I think they sacrificed some of it to keep a pretty solid 60 frames per second. But man, oh man, was there a lot of texture pop-up.
That's the big thing with me. Like, so every time I would load in or even just walking through the environments, I would just get consistent texture.
But again,
like
this is on
always.
the PS3 version. I have played the PS4 version, and everything I've seen from the PC version looks awesome. I mean, Chris, did you run into any type of glitches or anything graphically? Anything noticeable?
Yeah, that's a good point. The PC version, I've seen it reported elsewhere. The PC version actually does have a fair bit of screen tearing, and I did notice that on mine. Pop-in, again, a really slight amount, but you really had to be like, if I was like just, doing the spins or, just doing.
And you had to almost kind of look for it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's noticeable, but it is there definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's more, it's just the engine itself just wasn't optimized that great for the last gen hardware at this point. At least what they were trying to do in this game. Again, it's not like an awful looking game, but I was just a little let down by some of the graphical qualities.
I didn't. The thing with me, I was like, I didn't look at like you say. You kind of look at it and like almost like you were kind of a bit disappointed. I think they were just kind of like a little bit better than just like middle of the road. Like I thought the cinematics look fantastic. I think they look really good.
There are a fair amct of cinematics in this game.
And I think they look really good. Like I don't know, the way everything's like presented, it looks really good.
I also think the character models, again, strictly speaking from the current gen version,
in game, but I guess
next gen character models look fine. They look very, looks next gen. It looks nice.
Yeah.
But that's just. But I understand it's last gen. The game was really, I think they were aiming it obviously more towards next gen when making this. Yeah. So it's a minor problem. If you're looking to this game hoping for an awesome looking like graphical experience, let it be known that there is definitely a drop in quality with the PS3 Xbox 360 version. So if one of the draws for this game for you is like these amazing detailed graphics, I would say for that, hold off until you have a good PC that could run it or an actual next-gen system.
Yeah, make sure you get it on one of the more powerful platforms.
Side note, this part was a pain in the ass.
Really?
But anyway.
This wasn't too bad. Yeah, we can get to that because I do want to touch on the difficulty. The one last thing I'll mention before we move on from graphics is that, the weapon models in particular, I thought the weapon models, they did a really good job. Everything's really detailed, and some of these guns are just outrageous.
Yeah, and let me jump in on that too. Actually, I will say this, so the gun models, for the most part, except when you got some texture pops, usually looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
So it was more of an environmental and character model issue for me. The guns themselves, they got those right.
All right, cool. Let's quickly touch on the sound. I don't have a whole lot there. If we want to stick with the weapons here, I thought the weapon sounds. Most of them have the appropriate punch, but I did feel that some of the weapons felt a little bit thin. So I don't know about that.
I thought for the most part, games should at this point have good production quality when it comes to sound with this, especially when gun sounds or even voicing. I thought the voice acting was done fairly well. It wasn't the best I've ever heard, but it played its role and it did.
Oh yeah, you want to mention
fine.
that because there's a lot of. If you don't speak German natively, there's a lot of German. So did you guys play with the subtitles on?
Yeah,
I
did.
Okay, yeah, I had mine switched on too. So I'm not sure. I think if you don't have them on, they just speak. They speak German and then you don't know what they're saying. So.
Yeah. Well, you can have all subtitles, foreign subtitles only as well, or just turn them off. Sound though, not to get off track. I think the sound. Sounded good for this game. No standout tracks for me. It helped move everything along. Voice acting was solid. And maybe it was just on my perspective, though. I will say this. So I noticed in some of the cutscenes when Blazkowicz was talking, I felt like his voice was a little low compared to the other sounds in the background. Are you talking about
just like the character's audio in general?
Yes.
I do know that the dip in audio during cutscenes drops
now, and
dramatically.
Maybe, I don't know, Chris, were you seeing this on your system at all?
No, not really. The one thing I did notice, he does tend to whisper to himself a lot, in between
during when he's during
and I noticed that.
Yeah.
Even for a whisper though, I felt like I was really struggling to hear.
That's what happened to me.
Actually, now that you mention it, I did notice that. You're right. Because
I remember there was a cinematic. I was like, I got to turn this up. Then I went straight into gameplay, not knowing the difference between different audio levels, and the gameplay audio level was so much higher. And I just had to turn it down immediately. So yeah, it was definitely
a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So yeah, I think that should do it for sound. Let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay is the heart of any game, obviously.
Yeah.
But I like this game a lot. This game was awesome.
Gameplay
rules.
I think this was obviously the best part of the game. I will say, and I'll put this into gameplay. I thought the AI wasn't very good. I think the enemies are kind of stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Should we roll that into? Because I wanted to touch on the difficulty a little bit. What difficulty did you guys play?
I played it on standard.
Okay.
Your whatever the normal mode is.
I went with the default. I didn't mess with it because I try to judge. To me, that the default difficulty is usually
just the base default.
No, I won't.
That's kind of what everything's.
But with the AI, I won't. I'm not gonna compare it to, because it's definitely not as bad. But remember how GoldenEye, they would roll into the crosshairs.
I don't know where you're getting that.
No, but sometimes I felt like stuff like that would kind of happen. I just don't think, I don't know, something about the AI just bothered me. I just don't think it wasn't challenging enough. They were kind of stupid.
It felt like they didn't move really intelligently, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They were easy to just pick off. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, I looked at this game as I'm one-man army, I'm going in, I just want to, everything else is cannon fodder, so if they're not using these amazing tactics to me in this type of game, that's fine. Just jump through my cannon, let me blow your head off. That's how I looked at this type of game. With that being said, I thought the gameplay was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Even on the current gen stuff, it's not as pretty, but it still plays as solid as the next gen PC counterparts.
Yeah, did you?
So that's totally worth playing. Again, going back to that whole next gen versus current gen, or last gen versus current gen, however you want to title it. If you don't mind a little bit of a graphical downgrade and you can only play an Xbox or 360 version, then it's worth playing. I always say you should wait for the next gen version for something like this if you're a graphics whore, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll still enjoy it.
Did you guys use stealth at all?
I did, yes.
Okay. What did you guys think of that if you did use it?
It's entertaining. What I liked about it too, I didn't feel forced. There's parts where I stealthed through that I didn't feel like I had to. So I feel like it gives you options without
I think definitely
Mainly
it's
writing it
obviously I didn't use it a lot, but the times I did were like really satisfying. It's awesome.
Well, they
like,
do stuff with
they
the
do,
stealth
they
too.
pull it off really well.
I could go through guns blazing, be tripping alarm, and you're gonna deal with a lot more guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you do,
Yeah.
if there's opportunities where you can use stealth and then you avoid them tripping an alarm and then having to deal with more
There's
guys.
alternate routes.
You can take out officers, and then they won't call in reinforcements. So it'll make your trip. But you could take it either way. You know, I actually preferred more of the Rambo style gameplay for something like this. I'd stealth every now and then when the opportunity arose, but most of the time I'm dual wielding these assault rifles and just blowing everyone away and tossing grenades everywhere. But it works with both styles of gameplay, I've noticed.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this game. There's there's not just the standard run and gun stuff. There's parts where you drive a car. I mean, the first level you start off, you're in an aircraft, and you got to deal with some kind of technical failure in the back of the plane. There's other stuff farther into the game. There's this game has perks. So like we mentioned the stealth. Like if you do a lot of stealth type stuff, you actually upgrade and you get better abilities to do that type of stuff. Did you guys? I saw some of the jokes online because you can overboost your health and get over 100 health, and you also have an armor thing. It's here on the screen. Like, did you see some of the stuff where like you pick up like a whole bunch of helmets or like a whole bunch of bulletproof vests or whatever, and it's like it just like each one like adds a little bit to your armor and stuff.
Yeah.
There's some ones going around with BJ is like he's wearing like he's just all helmets. And I saw, he's just wearing a whole bunch of helmets, and like the part of the comic is like we're shooting him and it's not doing anything. He's just wearing like all this armor and like random pieces that he picked up. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like we said, you do some of that stuff. The more you do some of these actions, like the stealth and stuff, you get like I think you gotta like ghost enough guys, and then you unlock like throwing knives. So instead of having to like creep up on the guy, you can throw the knife at him. So stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on the difficulty real quick before we move on. I played it on Bring 'Em On, and I felt that was actually a little bit too easy too. I felt like I could have played it on Uber and it still would have been manageable. So I think if you're going to go into this, you can probably try out the harder difficulties and you'll probably do all right.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's do an overall here. Overall, I want to say Machine Games did a great job upgrading the game that introduced the FPS genre as we know it. Because if you're old enough to remember, Wolfenstein 3D was really that kind of set up the entire genre of first-person shooter. So, if you're going to do a remake or update on one of these types of games, it seems like that's a popular thing to do these days, and a lot of them tend to fall short. So for something as iconic as Wolfenstein, I think they really had their work cut out for them. They had to make it good, and they definitely succeeded with this. This game kicks ass.
This is a solid game. Like, I don't think it would be a contender for my game of the year, but this is definitely I think it's a rent/must play.
Okay, you jumped the gun. Let's put the scorecard up. That's what we're saying on this one. It's a must play. Maybe not necessarily a must buy, but definitely pick this one up and give it a shot. Borrow it, rent it, whatever. Must play.
I mean, you're looking at a 20+ hour campaign.
Oh,
give or
yeah,
take.
definitely.
Yeah. So you definitely get your money's
It's not
worth
a short
with just
game.
a single player. And there's stuff you can do afterwards. That's a little, there's the path slightly branches in this game, and it's just a solid first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Like I said, the only thing I would say that should hold you back from purchasing this is if you don't have next-gen systems and you want that quality graphics, because some of it, even for current gen or last gen, falls behind a little bit in my personal opinion. There's some technical hiccups. But if you're just looking for gameplay and you don't mind graphics being crisp AAA graphics on this game, it's totally worth playing.
Yeah, there you go. The replay value is there. There's plenty of stuff to do in the game. So there you go. That is Wolfenstein: The New Order. Thanks for watching, Sleens. If you like that one, we've got more for you right here.